This is me, a twin flame coach, reacting to the second episode of the Netflix documentary Escaping Twin Flames. And whoa, that is a bunch of really toxic stuff in there. So let's start it right now. You may have seen the video of last week where I was talking about episode 1. So this is episode 2 now, which is called Play with Fire. So in the very beginning, that is something that was not elaborated later on. Jeff, he was talking about deep twin flame having authority over you, which is of course a no. In a twin flame connection, a true twin flame connection, there are two people who are in their power coming together and as a couple, as a team, as best friends as well. So it's not a power game, it's not a power play, and it's most definitely not the masculine dominating the feminine or the feminine dominating the masculine, but he is saying it more like the masculine is in control. And there was even this portion in this series where his wife was trying to say something and he cut her off, saying that he was the man and he was the one who was talking, so she had to be quiet. So this documentary is of course hopping from place to place to place to place. So I don't have a real red thread going on, but Jeff is trying to explain what energies are, like the feminine and the masculine energies. And as hinted in the beginning, he even told people what gender they might be, and we're going to talk about that in a bit because that was more the end of the episode, but that was truly disturbing, to be honest. So in the beginning of this episode, we see the young girl, like the 18-19 young girl from the last episode, who was in harmonious twin flame union, who didn't even love the guy, who was creeped out by him, and he had this criminal record, you may remember. So they now in meetings had to pretend to be all in love and super happy, and she didn't even love that guy at all. It was just like Jeff telling her, that is your twin flame and now you have to be happy, and now you have to be the show pony and show everybody how happy you are, and that this group twin flame union actually got you together with your twin flame in this harmonious union, of course, to push selling more programs. But that girl, she didn't even love that guy, so she had to pretend to be happy even though she was absolutely miserable. One thing is important, a twin flame connection is not a one-sided thing. Twin flames, they meet, and of course one person may push those feelings away for a bit. You know, we have the anxious and the avoidant attachment style often. So one person may be avoidant to give the other, the anxious person, the opportunity to deal with those shadows. But there is no toxicity and it is not completely one-sided. It may be one person oppressing it, but please use discernment. That doesn't mean that just because somebody's telling you, I'm not your twin flame, I don't want this, I don't have feelings for you, that you just then automatically go, oh, he's just running. You do your inner work. You can learn about the law of assumption and you can still manifest that person, but they don't have to be a twin flame. So that is another thing that I believe is very toxic, that people often believe a twin flame is the only kind of true love and the only person that could be your forever person. That is absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. A soulmate may be your true love, and another kind of connection may be your true love. There's not just this one person who is your only chance to become happy. Absolutely not. Then we also saw the other girl, you know, the one who was stalking, who did not respect the boundaries of her twin flame runner. And the evil mom, she actually tapped into her savings to help get her daughter out of jail. You remember how Jeff kept encouraging her to ignore the restraining order and to keep on calling, and now of course, because maybe he's scared of any liability cases, he's now pushing it. No, you were the one who was stalking him, you need to admit that. So he took a U-turn when he saw that she actually had to go to prison. And then he also made her prove to him that she was trustworthy. She felt like she fell out of his good graces and that she had to go back into his good graces. So we do have definitely like some kind of cult leader dynamic here again. Then of course he also told people you have to find your life purpose in order to get your twin flame union. And it seemed like all of everybody's life purpose was to work for them and for free, so that is very convenient. And later he even decided to found some kind of a church because then he could get free labor. It's insane. Yeah, that is another hint at a cult. But those people, they actually felt honored, just like in a cult, that they would get to help others and that they were trusted by Jeff and Sheleia, or Shaleia. But it gets worse. He then founded this new company, MAP, which means Mind Alignment Process. And that kind of work is something that, he did not invent that. We do have that, for example, in hypnotherapy. I learned that when I was trained as a hypnotherapist, to go into situations again and then we want to alter them. He did not make that up. That is not on him. But, and this is incredibly, awful. They use that to put people into trance and then plant negative memories into them. When we do that to help someone heal, we instead plant positive memories into their minds. But instead he planted, or the person doing that process planted traumatic experience like abuse, as abuse, you know what I mean, into that person's mind. That, of course, created a new trauma for that woman that then needed to be worked on. So that is a major red flag. No trauma therapist should actually create trauma instead of helping overcome trauma. That was mind-blowing in the worst possible way for me to watch. Actually had burning in my stomach. That twin flame, well, it's not twin flame, it's not really twin flames, let's be honest, but that documentary really is hard to digest. What that map did is also, of course, further taking people away from their families and separating them to gain even more control over them. That has nothing at all with spirituality or twin flames, not even at all. A true twin flame coach or any spiritual coach would help you to grow and not try to oppress you. They would not try to form a hierarchy. They would not force you to do anything. If you are in contact with somebody who is telling you stuff that pulls you down, it's not a true spiritual coach. Any spiritual coach would help you to want to grow. Of course, that can mean occasionally to deal with your shadows and to look at stuff you don't want to look. But even when we do things like what I learned in hypnotherapy, you don't have to go into this situation and play it out. You know what kind of situation it was, and you can immediately start to reprogram that. So there is no need to giving in any more energy to the traumatic experience that has happened. It's frustrating, and more than just frustrating, it's really upsetting to me, because these practices, they do work and they can help people. And now with these scammers out there, I'm scared that some people may turn away from something that could help them. There are coaches out there who mean well, and getting thrown into the same area than these, being compared with these, that is truly upsetting. Then also he had this other company, the Divine Meals, Divine Dish, that made people gain weight and get sick. And it is also very much meat-based, and meat is not spiritual food, especially not when it comes from mass animal production. That is like the worst thing you can do to our beautiful earth and to those creatures that are probably not even going to see daylight a second in their life. Yeah, maybe that second when they go to the butcher, I don't know, who live in underground halls, and it's there's nothing spiritual about that. The consumption of meat is not spiritual. It may be a different thing if you hunt your own meat because there may be too much deers in the forest. Different story. I wouldn't do it, but I understand that maybe some have to do it. So yeah, you may call that somewhat spiritual, but anything that has to do with mass animal production is harming this planet, is harming your own body. It's negative energies also you consume. So yeah, that's not spiritual food. And it's another thing that made me question. I mean, everything about those people are questionable, to be honest. Then, of course, they made a lot of money from their coaches. So their coaches were forced to buy their products. Otherwise, they were not allowed to coach anymore and denied their income for the job they actually were forced into in the first place. Another thing is that Jeff actually compares himself to Jesus, to Christ, and I don't know, he seems to believe that he is Jesus or Christ, and another no. That is big spiritual ego. That is no one who is awakened would talk like that. Avoid people who talk like that, honestly. Then it is slowly easing into the gender aspects of this episode. There was one woman and her twin flame, not true twin flame, was with another person, and that person was a man. So she fell in love with that guy, a colleague, and he told her, you're like a sister to me and I don't reciprocate, I don't have the same feelings for you. But she thought that that person was a twin flame, and then Jeff told her that she was pretty much inhabiting all of the male energy. That is why there was not enough energy, male energy for him, and that is why that person was gay. So he actually blamed that woman that the man she loved was gay. Another no go. So that woman now tried to become more feminine. Later on, Jeff and Sheleia channeled that there were 20 more twin flames already in the group, but they were mostly women. So they started pairing women with women, and then also telling people, okay, this is your twin flame, it's not a woman, and you're the feminine, you're the masculine. And those people were heterosexual. Now all of a sudden they were told that this other woman was their twin flame, and that woman we were just talking about, who was too much in her masculine energy, was now all of a sudden the divine masculine of some woman that she never felt a connection to. That again, awful, and kind of reminds me of that documentary, was it called The Cult, about where they had that many wives, and the leader also just told people, okay, you and you are going to get married now. So that very much cult-based as well. Jeff later tries to convince people that homosexuality and bisexuality do not exist. So yeah, I don't even know what to say about that. He also says that we are either feminine or masculine 100%. But just like the yin-yang, and we have that dot of the other, every person inhabits feminine and masculine qualities. And one energy is dominant. But dominant does not mean 100%. We all have both energies. Some a little bit more closer to having both. Some are more feminine and more masculine, or more masculine. So that can happen. There is a spectrum, right? Nobody is 100%. And also those energies, they have nothing to do with the physical body. Yes, most of the feminines are women in heterosexual connections, but even in heterosexual connections, it can mean that the woman inhabits more of the masculine energy and the man more of the feminine. But you will find your counterpart. You will always balance each other out. And in homosexual connections, there is one more in the feminine, one more in the masculine energy. It has nothing to do with our physical body. But people who disagreed with him, they either got blocked, or Jeff was really nasty. One person claimed that he called her not just the B word, but also like a filthy little rat. He calls people liars if they don't agree with him. So that is nothing a spiritual coach would do at all. Not even close. Then unfortunately there was this one girl who was suicidal and who ended up, let's say, ending herself. And then their comment was, well, she didn't try enough. The problem is, I mean, I am a life coach, I have a certificate. We are not therapists, okay? It's not the same. I'm not a psychotherapist. It's like when you have a broken arm and your bone sticks out, you don't go to a healer to get some herbs to help that. No, you need a surgeon. And if you have problems like this, then maybe please seek out help. There is no shame in seeking out help. A spiritual coach can help you in some degree, yes, but please first get medical help, and then you can work up from there, and then a spiritual coach can help you as well. You don't have to just go one way. But a spiritual coach is not trained to pull you out of deep crisis. Probably most spiritual coaches have been there as well. So what they can give you is some guidance of maybe how they dealt with it. But still, please seek professional help. You can do both in addition, if that's what you feel true. But if you feel like this, please, there is help out there. In the last episode, they were talking about the mirror exercise. And I told you, yes, I do believe it works. But why didn't it work in some cases? Because mirroring, the way they teach it is one-sided. We already said everything is a projection of your inner world. And yes, we do have to work on our self-concept, that is vital, but they completely neglect working on the concept of other people as well. If we are in self-love and we have done that work, but we still perceive the other person as not there, as toxic, then of course that work, it will get mirrored back to you. Your belief that the other person is XYZ will get mirrored back to you. That is how manifesting works. That is how the law of assumption works. So we have to work on that as well. And then your manifestation can come through. So that was basically it. That was basically the second episode. I'm loaded. And I'm really upset because twin flames, I believe it is a real connection. It is one path to spiritual alignment. Not the only one, but it is one path to spiritual alignment and enlightenment as well. It has nothing to do with that. And I'm upset that now everyone who is working in that field or having those experiences is being compared to that. That is truly upsetting. Those are quacks. They're not good at their job. They're good at exploiting people, but they're not good at coaching. They're just good at taking money out of people's pockets. There's nothing twin flamey about that. But now they are the twin flame coaches. And they're not. So that is upsetting. And everything about that, it's just toxic and it's wrong and it's dark and it's the opposite of spiritual. Of course, there's always the other side as well, right? But yeah, very much ego-based, and I'm just truly upset, I have to say. But still, I'm going to watch the third episode right now, and I see you there.